Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso, the former Eastwood High School teacher is learning her punishment for her part in the death of her husband. It's a story 40 years in the making, coming to a conclusion this morning.
It's car versus train. We have the video from an overnight crash that left a car crumpled and turned over.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
A very good morning to you, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Florin. Good morning, everyone. Let's get right to meteorologist Krystal Klei and talk about the weather changes, this time for the better, right?
Yes, thankfully not seeing any more severe weather, right, Krystal?
Yeah, thank goodness we are finally looking at a forecast where I don't have to say first alert. We've lifted that. We are looking at today just scattered chances of rain outside and temperatures remaining in the 70s. Pretty good forecast, actually. Right now on your clouds and radar map, you do see some scattered showers that are starting to pick up, and they're tracking along to the northeast. The focus of the couple larger cells that have developed right near the Boot Hill of New Mexico, as well as just now tracking into Doñana County. Also some very spotty and light rain that has popped up on the map. This is shifting on into West El Paso, Doñana, and Luna counties. So this morning, you might want the umbrella for some of those lighter showers, but the strong, heavy rain, that's all way to the east of us now, moving on into Texas. In that area, though, the line of thunderstorms could become very severe throughout today. Your temperatures this morning, a little bit of a chill in the air. We're at 49 degrees in Las Cruces. That's too cold for me. I wore a jacket today. 54 your temperature in El Paso, 50 in Deming, 48 in TRC. And check out Ruidoso. I was just saying I wanted to go there. I don't know, 37 degrees this morning, our temperature outside. So coming up in your forecast just a few minutes from now, we're going to look at isolated to scattered showers. We're also going to talk about tomorrow completely drying out, making for a beautiful weekend update. We'll check in a few minutes.
Looking forward to that for so many reasons, Krystal. Thank you. And now let's get things started this morning with our round-the-clock coverage out of Fabens. That's where two people were taken to the hospital after their car was hit by a train. Police say the car's tire blew out and veered into the path of the train on 4th Street around 8:30 last night. This is new video from our round-the-clock crew on the scene. Investigators say the train was slowing down when it hit the car, but as you can see, it did not save the car from getting crushed. The two people in the car were taken to the hospital and were told their injuries are not serious. Both the driver and passenger are listed in stable condition.
A man is facing murder charges after shooting another man at a car wash in Las Cruces. It happened just after 8 yesterday morning at the corner of North Valley Drive and Hadley. That's where police say 57-year-old Leo Molina was working as an attendant at that car wash when he got into a fight with 39-year-old Gregory Fernandez. The fight escalated, ending with Molina allegedly shooting Fernandez in the chest. Fernandez died at the hospital. Molina was also taken to the hospital for injuries he suffered during that fight, and he is now charged with murder.
This morning, some closure to a 35-year-old cold case. Elizabeth Garrett is found guilty of killing her husband in 1977. Happening today, the same jurors who convicted her will decide her punishment. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas is live now with the story. Denise.
Well, the former Eastwood High School teacher had no reaction as the verdict was read yesterday here at the El Paso County Courthouse. But her other son, Patrick Garrett, who testified against her, celebrated. Lisbeth Garrett is free on bond this morning after the judge set a new bond of $500,000. Lisbeth posted bail. She and her son, Roger, beat and stabbed Army Major Chester Garrett in their East El Paso home back in 1997, making it a 35-year-old cold case until her son Patrick, again who testified against her, forced investigators to reopen the case. And now Roger is serving a 40-year prison sentence for the murder of Chester Garrett. So again, the punishment phase begins here at the El Paso County Courthouse. Well, jurors will determine if she will go to prison, and if so, how much time she'll spend behind bars. And this is all happening later this morning here at the El Paso County Courthouse. For now, we're live in downtown El Paso. Denise Olivas, ABC7.
Thanks so much, Denise, for that live update. You know, last week we told you about an arrest made by El Paso police in a 45-year-old cold case murder, and now we're hearing from the man who actually helped out in that investigation. Doris Rivers was only 21 in 19 1970 when she was stabbed to death in her South Central El Paso apartment. El Paso detective Michael Amon got a call 2 years ago from Rivers' granddaughter, who had never met her grandmother, inquiring about that cold case. That led Amon, the only full-time cold case detective at the El Paso Police Department, to reopen that case. And after finding fingernail clippings from Rivers stored as evidence, they were set for DNA testing. That led police to arrest 70-year-old Willie James Johnson of Mississippi, who was stationed at Fort Bliss back in 1970 and who was an original suspect. The detective says the arrest in this case has led him to look at other cold cases too.
There's about 70 of them, and I've read maybe gone over about 15 of them. So it really helps if you're sticking with it, because DNA is progressing. So cases that, say, we looked at maybe 5-6 years ago and we couldn't really solve them because DNA hadn't just gotten there yet. Maybe in the future it'll get there.
A man says Johnson has already been extradited and is currently being held at the El Paso County Detention Facility. Meanwhile, presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton is expected to give her testimony on the 2012 deadly attack on Americans in Benghazi today. Her testimony is part of an investigation that began about 17 months ago. Andy Rose has more.
As Hillary Clinton prepares to testify before the Select Committee on Benghazi Thursday, questions continue to grow about the aim of the committee's investigation, some labeling the effort as little more than a partisan attack on Clinton.
The only hearing they had any interest in was a hearing with Secretary Clinton. And here's the dilemma. Without us on the committee, without us in the room, for example, it's very hard for us to point out the misleading attacks, the misleading character of the attacks they've been making.
Representative Susan Brooks is one of 7 Republicans who, along with 5 Democrats, will question the former Secretary of State about the attacks that killed 4 Americans at the U.S. consulate in Benghazi. One issue that will be brought up surrounds requests for additional security in Benghazi in the weeks before the attack. Clinton said she was unaware of those requests.
We have learned through emails and through documents that there were hundreds of mentions about security incidents, particularly in 2012. So we have questions for the Secretary about what she did with respect to those security requests. U.S.
Ambassador to Libya Chris Stevens and 3 others were killed in an attack on the U.S. consulate in the Libyan city. It remains unclear if this congressional probe, which has cost taxpayers over $4 million so far, has uncovered any new information about the attack itself. I'm Andy Rose reporting.
It's the first public hearing in nearly 10 months, by the way, and Clinton is expected to be the sole witness at that hearing.
It's time to get out the bug spray because 5 new cases of the West Nile virus have been confirmed here in El Paso. The Public Health Department says the recent cases involve residents who live in the downtown, central, and northeast parts of town. The victims include 4 elderly men and a woman. Her age was not released. The number of West Nile virus-related deaths this year remains at 2.
Art, science, and history all came together at the Gail Grieve Hunt School of Nursing. Students and staff celebrated artist Tom Lee by using one of his paintings to learn about the history of surgery. The painting depicts Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca removing an arrowhead from a Native American's chest. It's called the first recorded surgical operation in North America. Students also listened to a lecture on how surgery has evolved since the 1500s.
They just exhibit the strong people, the giants of the North that settled this area, and it's just incredibly important for all of us to understand the history.
The Texas Tech University Health Science Center also has a replica of Lee's famous mural, The Pass of the North.
And at 6:08, taking a look at our traffic cameras downtown I-10 in Missouri, you can see traffic moving along pretty smoothly. I-10 in Piedras in central El Paso, traffic a little heavier there, but no problems to tell you about.
Coming up, we have the latest in the case of a 4-year-old girl shot in an apparent road rage incident in Albuquerque.
Hear what her family had to say about losing their little girl.
Then a savage beating at a church, leaving one teen dead. Now his half-sister is facing the possibility of a trial for her part in the death.
And meteorologist Klei has your forecast. Krystal.
And that forecast does include some drier weather. Good news if you have those weekend plans. We'll check in on your Saturday, Sunday coming up.
Thanks, Krystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.